Hey guys, this is Stephen Cox from StephenCoxMusic.com and the Stephen Cox Bass YouTube channel. So today I wanted to talk to you about how you, as a sideman, can get more gigs. So this is kind of for the bass players, but it works for other musicians as well. So here is my top 10 ways to get more gigs. Alright, so the first way that you can ensure that you'll get more gigs is to know as many styles as possible. So this takes a lot of work. It's basically just hitting the practice room. But first you gotta decide what kind of gigs do you want. Do you want to play a whole lot of jazz gigs? Well, then it might be good to get a private instructor or go to a jazz school, like go to college. So if you'd like to play more rock and roll gigs, then the best thing to do is probably to go do some research. Go around town, look at what bands are playing, what songs in your area, and then go learn as many of those as possible. So if you go and you see 10 bands at 10 different venues, and you find that they're all playing the same 15 songs, you probably need to learn those 15 songs. And guys, as a bass player, the most important style you can learn in a lot of cities, especially Atlanta, Chicago, Austin, just a whole bunch of cities like that, you probably want to know how to play the blues. So you need to know what a shuffle is. You need to know what a slow blues is. When somebody says, hey, we're going to do a quick change on this song, or a quick 4, you need to know where that goes within the blues form. So I would recommend learning a few songs, but mostly learning the tenets of blues. And then after you learn the tenets, then go back and learn some songs, because there are some specific songs that do some specific things. You may also need to know the Nashville number system. So you can expand your styles in a whole lot of different ways. I've played country gigs, bluegrass gigs, rock gigs, pop gigs, funk gigs, you name it. I've played a metal gig here and there. So you really want to expand your styles, listen to all types of music, and play all types of music. My second step, my second piece of advice for you is to go ahead and make some business cards and have some stuff online that you can send people to. So that could be a website, that could be a YouTube video, or that could be a Facebook page, just somewhere where they can hear you play. And so here's the reason why business cards are so important. 1, you can put a link to those things I just mentioned. 2, you can give them your email. And 3, you can give them your phone number. So we all know that in the age of cell phones, you could just give them your number at a show or at a jam or wherever you happen to meet somebody. But they have that many more ways to reach you if you give them a business card. Now, a lot of people expect an immediate return on a business card, and I have to say that it's kind of a waiting game. There have been times where I've handed business cards to somebody 3 years before I've gotten a gig from them. And there have been other times where I've handed someone a business card and they give me a call the next day. So results may vary, but it's a very, very important thing to have if you'd like to gig more. So way number 3 to get more gigs as a bass player or as a sideman is pretty straightforward. Basically, you just want to find all the jams in your area. There are always a lot of blues jams, so that's why I recommend learning the blues first, and because that style is a little bit easier to follow other people. That's why blues jams are so common. There are also jazz jams in a lot of areas. I live near Atlanta, so we're kind of spoiled here. There's a jam almost every night of the week. So on Monday nights, there's a blues and rock jam. Pretty local. On Tuesday nights, there's some blues and rock jams and some jazz jams. Wednesday night also has 2 jazz jams on one night that I like to go and hit up. And basically, when you go to these jams, you kind of want to treat them more like a show than like a jam. And that's kind of difficult if you don't know the song. Sometimes you're following things on stage. But the point that I'm making is keep things simple. You want to serve the song and stay solid so that everybody else sounds good on top of you. If you make them sound good, they will remember that, and when you hand them your business card that you have from the other step, they will call you. And they will need you for those gigs because you'll make them sound better than the other players do that are overplaying. There have been a couple people that have come up to me during a jam and said, I don't get it. I go out to all the jams and I play all the time, but nobody's calling me for gigs. And then I listen to them play at the jam, and they're pretty much doing a bass solo the entire time that they're playing. So if you're a bass player, nobody needs to know how many chops you have unless you're playing in a metal band or maybe even a reggae band, just depending. But you don't need to play all over the place. You really just need to show them that you can hold the groove down. So make sure to lock in with the drummer. If you are not listening to that kick drum, you're probably not locking in, and the band is probably suffering a little bit. Now, if the drummer's all over the place, kind of play what you think the song's bass drum groove should be. And if you lock in with that and keep it simple, you'll allow the other players to play as much as they want to and still have the song sound solid. Number 4 sounds pretty obvious, right? You want to make sure that you're prepared. So being prepared means a lot of things. It means having your bass, having your amp, having your cables, and making sure those cables work before you leave the house, making sure that if you have active pickups, that you have a spare battery with you, and maybe a spare set of strings, because every now and then we do break bass strings. Being super duper prepared in that way, but also you can be prepared for the other members of the band. So basically, sometimes I feel like I've gotten a call back after playing one gig with somebody simply because their guitar player forgot guitar picks and I had some extra guitar picks. So I'm just like, here you go, man. And they remember that. Or if I brought a music stand with me, even if I didn't need to use the music stand, there was a music stand for somebody else to use that they needed it. You might think that this is a rare occasion that other people won't be prepared, but it's actually pretty common. So if you can kind of prepare for the whole band instead of just yourself, it can really make a good impact, a good positive impact on who's hiring. So an example of this, I actually went to a jam just to play music with the band I was in. We had a couple songs ready to go. We went to a blues jam to go play and possibly get a gig. And when we got there, the house bass player was running late, and the band was just a little bit on edge, and they knew he was running a good bit late. I happened to have my amp and my cables in the car, and I said, hey guys, I'd be glad to just throw my amp up on stage and play with you guys if you want to. And they ended up paying me to do the gig because he wasn't there. And the guy showed up and he was a little bit mad, but me and him are still friends. And honestly, that's just the way it goes. You gotta be prepared, you gotta be on time, and if you're extra prepared, you might even get a show out of it, even when you're just there at a jam. Number 5, and this one is a big one. Guys, you gotta be a good hang. If you want a regular gig with somebody and they don't like being around you, you're not gonna get that gig. So you gotta be fun to be around, maybe cracking a few jokes here and there. I would recommend don't talk too much, laugh at other people's jokes, but don't go out of your way to and be weird or anything, just kind of be natural. Basically, you just want to be a fun person to hang out with. Sometimes band leaders care more about that because they play gigs for fun, not always for the money. Be fun, have fun. That's what you're playing music for. If you weren't into it for fun, then maybe you should have become a doctor or something.